Hi, I'm Dr. Z, one of the co-creators of the Kinmundo 16 Family Cultures Assessment, and I want to thank you for taking an interest in my ebook on family cultures. It's been great to see how many of you are wanting to be more intentional about your parenting. I've been a little surprised at just how many readers are missing what I believe to be one of the most important principles in parenting. And I'm going to share that with you in just a minute, but before I do, I want to ask you if these two questions resonate with you. Do you believe your family is more important than anything else in this life? And yet, do you find yourself feeling guilty knowing that family often takes a backseat to other demands? And are you, probably without realizing it, living day to day, subconsciously hoping that your kids won't inconvenience you? It's painful to think about, isn't it? Rest assured, you're not alone. Every parent out there has felt overwhelmed. Parenting is difficult. It always has been, but it's become increasingly more challenging as our world has become more and more complex. Take, for example, my friends. Let's call them Brad and Christina. Both good people, both working. 2 children, ages 13 and 10. Life was busy with all the activities and demands that you might expect, but things were going fairly well. So I guess you'd say they put their family on cruise control. After all, they felt that doing the same thing they'd always done would continue to work as it always had. But then their daughter hit middle school, and things got a little rocky. Social media was now in play, as was the smartphone, a decision that they had made out of convenience and pressure more so than out of prudence. As social and academic pressures began to increase, she began to spend more and more time in her room. But because of their busy schedules, her parents hardly noticed the change. Her anxiety began to go up, and she began to be more and more irritable. Therefore, arguments in the family started to become more frequent, and grades became a serious concern. Sadly, they struggled to slow things down and more thoughtfully address the situation. Now, that's a common story, and it's not something to panic about. But they were at a crossroads, and it's the direction that their daughter is heading in that's most concerning. Actually, let me say that differently. It's their family culture that they're creating that is most concerning. Why? Because if we are honest with ourselves, most of us parents aren't actually raising our children. Rather, we're creating a family culture, and it's that culture that's raising our children, like it or not. Now, I promised that I would tell you what I believe to be one of the most important principles in parenting. It's simply this: be intentional about your family culture. As you better understand what your family culture looks like today, you will know how to be more intentional as a parent and what works best for your family. And who doesn't want that? One more example for you. I worked with a mother a few years ago who had 2 teenage boys. She loved her boys as much as any mother, but she worried about them much more than most. In her mind, a good family meant sharing their feelings with each other and all having the same family values. Why? Because that's the kind of culture she grew up in. But it's not the current culture in her family. And the more she tried to force her childhood culture on her husband and her children, the more she pushed them away. Now, that story illustrates the importance of understanding the dimensions of closeness and consensus and how those relate to family culture. Each family culture is made up of a combination of 8 unique family dimensions. In the coming weeks, I'm going to be holding 3 family counseling workshops designed specifically for families who have already taken the family culture assessment and are eager to become more intentional in their parenting. The workshops are already filling up, but because of your interest in my ebook on family culture, I want to personally extend an invitation to you to join one of these 3 family culture workshops. Intentionally strengthening your family culture does not have to be complicated. The hardest part is knowing where to start.